Good evening. It is Tuesday, August 1st, 2023. This is the Public Works Committee of the Common Council. I would like to call the meeting to order at 7:03. Roll call tonight. We have Councilmember Jim Frayer, Brian Meek, Nora Najelski-Eichner, and myself, Barbara Smith. We're missing a few people. Hopefully we'll see some log on as we move on. First item on the agenda is public input. Are there any members of the public present who would like to speak? Please signify by raising your hand. Okay,
it does not appear so.
Okay, thank you, Jolene. So I will go ahead and close public input and move on to new business. First item, approve the minutes of the Public Works Committee meeting of Tuesday, June 6, 2023. Do I have a motion, please? Anyone?
I can't because I wasn't there.
You can make the motion.
Okay,
You'll just
I'll move
abstain. Okay, all right, Mr. Frayer.
I was about to move, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. He can move it. Hi, Nora. Are there any changes, additions, deletions, errors? Mr. Meek sees something. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, just there's a comment recorded by me that needs a little more context. It says Mr. Meek asked if.
Can you just say what page that's on, please?
It's on PDF page 9 of 64. It's page number 5 of the minutes.
Thank you.
About halfway through, it says Mr. Meek asked if citizens from Norwalk could do some of those decorative crosswalks. It just needs a little more context in light of the fact that Westport citizens are doing decorative crosswalks. And that was kind of my point, is that we shouldn't be paying money to do this. We should look for volunteers. Okay. And it's not right or wrong. It's just that was the point of the comment. So okay. If you could expand the comments, I'll approve.
Okay, we can correct that. And are there any other changes, additions, deletions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of the minutes as amended, please raise your hand. Okay, that is 3. And abstentions? We have 1. Mr. Frayer abstains. Now we can move on to new business. Item number 2, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an 8th amendment to the August 28th, 2007 agreement for professional engineering services between the City of Norwalk and A. Decessory Associates, PC, regarding the East Avenue reconstruction project for amount not to exceed $65,000 in accordance with the attached scope of services dated July 4th, 2023, account numbers noted. Can someone move that, please?
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Frayer moves it. So these are design services. Vanessa, do you want to explain the details on this, please?
Sure. So this is part of the East Avenue roadway project that, as you may remember, 100% of the design is under the city, and then the construction now happens under the Walk Bridge umbrella. DPW and TMP want to do some minor changes in the design on the south portion of East Avenue. So pretty much from, I would say, Winfield down to the Gregory Boulevard. And this would be the fee to bring those changes that has been already accepted by DOT, because we went for a design change on DOT, and we had meetings with them that they would incorporate already that in our drawings. So this is just the fee for us to be able to revise and make sure construction documents that we have to submit to DOT so they can do the project.
Are there any questions or comments or concerns anyone would like to raise?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Meek.
I think I missed the first 7 amendments to this contract. This is the 8th. How many more do we expect to come out of this?
I wish I could tell you the answer, Mr. Meek, because I think that I also missed probably a good 4 or 5. This project has been on the books with the city for over 25 years. So that's why we have so many amendments. This is a long story about the East Avenue roadway, and but I'm hoping that we're gonna come to an end as soon as all that design is completed.
Could we when we do this, and I'm not opposed to paying more money for it, but can we put any kind of performance goals in these things so the cycle times of the 9th and 25th amendments happen quicker? I mean, are these things taking so long that things naturally change, and that's why we're still coming back to the table
so
to
what
amend?
happened, particularly on this one, what happened is that we had it already designed. The first time that we designed this project was over 20 years ago, and then keep changing. Now the bridge is going to be wider. We changed the design again. Then then we had the advanced utility project where we underground utilities. There was another change to the roadway design. Now, specific for this one, TMP would like to improve the connection on Road 123. So when you come back from Van Zandt, you get into Winfield, and also to calm a little bit the traffic coming south of the bridge. So we ended up doing some modifications there with a little bit of bump outs, crosswalks, and all that. And that's what is the change for that. So yes, we keep involving the design because we are not, it has been some time until we built. But at least for that portion, is supposed to, by DOT, be advertised hopefully by the end of the year. So at least on that portion, I'm not expecting further design changes.
Thank you. And look, this is just anecdotal, but it's in the broader context of the overall project. I'm hearing from many stakeholders. They feel like these guys are just out there moving cones around and digging holes and filling them back up. It doesn't really, 3 years later, it doesn't really look like anything's getting done there. If there's anything we could take back to the stakeholders to communicate, hey, this is complex utility work. It runs all the way from here down to the river, and it's a lot of work, but I'm just getting a lot of complaints from a lot of local businesses, stakeholders down there that nothing seems to be happening. And here we are redesigning it, not at the midnight hour, but 3 years into it. I'd appreciate any.
The project that is active, Mr. Mick, is only the underground utilities. We haven't started the roadway project yet. Unfortunately, there is a lot of layers. We call under the Walk Bridge umbrella. I'm happy to go over with you with all the projects. If you want to come to my office, I can give a presentation. I give the presentation to the East Avenue Neighborhood Association a couple of years ago. I also did, I believe, one for this committee also a few years ago. It is quite complex. I understand under the umbrella. I'm happy to invite you guys over, and then we can go over and then I can explain the project. But just to clarify, what DOT's work on East Avenue now is only the underground of the utility project. It is very complex because we have to build all the infrastructure for all the electrical, all the fiber and everything underground. And then we're gonna eventually build part of the bridge. Now we're gonna do the south part of the roadway and eventually build the north part of the roadway. So until the Walk Bridge is not complete, East Avenue cannot be completed because the Walk Bridge schedule dictates the East Avenue all projects.
Okay, thanks. I'll take a rain check on that when we get some output from DCSAIR here. Thanks.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Make. Yeah, I've heard a lot of similar comments, but it's, and I've, been asking these questions of Vanessa for a period of time. Most of this work is being done underground and you don't see the progress, but a lot really is being done. Are there any other questions? Okay, I will go ahead and call for a vote then. All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 3, authorize the purchasing agent to issue an increase to the sole source purchase order to FLT Geosystems for the upgrade to the survey equipment for an amount not to exceed $5,200. Account number noted. Will someone move that item, please?
So
Mr.
moved.
Freyer, it's all you tonight. Okay, so this is an accessory needed for the survey equipment. Vanessa, you have any specifics for us?
You guys authorized the purchase of the new equipment for the surveyor, but there is this accessory that we decided to buy. What will happen is it's for AP22, is antenna for the total station, and that help us level the rod by itself with every shot. So it makes it pretty much the work much faster. And we thought that it was worth, because this new equipment has this ability, but we need the accessory to make it work.
Thanks, Vanessa. Before we move on, Vanessa, is it possible for you to move closer to the microphone? Because I'm having a little rough time hearing you.
Sure.
Yeah, it's breaking up a little bit. Thank you. Okay, so are there any questions about the upgrade?
I just had one question. Are all of these expenditures in the budget that was recently approved?
I'm sorry, what is the question again, Mr. Freeman?
Are these items that we're going through tonight, are all of them, just to get it out there, are all of these included in the budget that was recently approved?
Yeah, some of them is even older. Some of all, this one in particular is just like a 103 account that we have that we use for that. The other projects sometimes is either new capital or is still old capital money that we are using.
Good. Okay.
Okay, any more questions?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. Ms. Nachelski-Eichner, are you there? Okay, all right, opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. All right, item 4, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a 4th amendment to the original agreement with H.W. Lochner for design and coordination services dated September 29, 2016, in connection with Walk Bridge program, state project numbers 201-0176, 301-0188, 301-0187, 102-297 and 301-180 for a total sum not to exceed $265,656.46, which is the state's share. Account numbers noted. Would someone move that, please?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Okay, so this is sewer work that is being paid for by the state. Vanessa, will you explain how this is working?
Yes, so you're correct, Ms. Smith. The sewer is like a municipality utility. So on the DOT projects, we have 100%. It's 100% refundable. This is still part of the Walk Bridge program. This one in particular, we are changing the sewer on 4 Point. We asked them to pressurize that line and with that improve our pump station that is right at Vets Park. And that's why you're gonna see the breakdown that there are 2 costs, the design cost and also the construction cost. So they accepted that, they deal with the construction under the whole umbrella, but we have our own designers and has been like that since the beginning of the project. So this is really an extra on the design, because now what was the sewer main that is going on 4 Point now will be a pressurized line. And for that, we have to also change some of the pumps at the pump station at Vets Park. It's 100% reimbursable by the state. They agree with this. It is actually a good also thing for them on the long run. Gives them more room on the road to put a force main.
Any questions? 100% reimbursable by the state. It's good by me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Okay, that carries unanimously. All right, item 5. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a Fifth Amendment to the Woodward and Curran Agreement dated August 12, 2019, to provide professional engineering service for flood remediation at specific locations in accordance with Professional Services Task Order 23A dated July 10, 2023 for a sum not to exceed $95,000. Account number noted. Who would like to move that, please? Mr. Frayer. Thank you. This is some individual projects around the New Canaan Avenue and Ponus area where there's been some very extensive flooding, and it's just some little things that can be done to help some of those homeowners there. Vanessa, would you go into some more detail about this? Because this is, this is a big project, big problem, big project, but some things that can be done at the smaller level.
Yes, actually, I'll ask Mr. Meehan to start the conversation.
All right, yes. So Smith, as you noted, this is involved with a very larger project for the entire area, the whole Ponus, New Canaan areas, which, as you know, is something on a larger scale. It's starting down with the area around the baseball fields, and basically, like all stormwater projects, it starts at what's called the tailwater area, the bottom of it, and works its way up. So that's going to consist of a lot of remediation of stormwaters over, but it'll take a few years to sort of accomplish all this on a large scale. So on June 12th of this year, a lot of residents came to City Hall to express their concerns, and we heard a lot of them, and our consultant was there. And so what we asked our consultant to do is to evaluate to see if there are any smaller solutions to do. First, in the meantime, just alleviate some of the stormwater flooding that's happening in the areas, in particular areas. And and to that end, it is alleviating a lot of the stormwater. It's not going to relieve it entirely. That's going to happen with on a larger scale with the larger projects as they go along. But these are smaller projects that can help actually remediate a lot of the stormwater for the residents, and we're hoping that they can see something noticeable for this.
Can you give me an example of what you're talking about? I mean,
sure. The most notable one over here is by Ponus Road and Lloyd Road. Now, we have, as you know, there's several combined sewers in the city, which were over many years a program. We're trying to eliminate those. Now, when you separate stormwater from our catch basins, currently go into some of our sanitary manholes, which is just not efficient. It's not efficient for stormwater. It's not efficient for our sanitary cleanup. So we try to separate those. But if you separate that, you have to be able to send the stormwater someplace else. That's what we are. So this is an example. Some residents over there have experienced in bad floods, unfortunately, sewer backups in the area. So the consultant has actually looked at it. They said that they believe they can actually separate the storm sewer from the existing sanitary system at that location and send it further down without causing any problems further down the road, which is something that's always a bit of a concern, something we have to actually take into consideration when we're designing these. So we're hoping that by doing this, they come up with a design, if it's constructed, that people will not get sewer backups in their homes in bad rainstorms, and flooding will actually be alleviated a little bit more.
Good. Thanks. That's very helpful.
Mr. Meek?
Thank you. So this is curious because I believe one of these accounts is an ARPA account and the other is a city account. So what is the split on the accounting, and how much, maybe the other questions should happen first, is how much did the original plus the first 4 amendments cost life to date on, this is just design work. So those are my questions. How much have we spent on designing this through 4 amendments plus 95,000, and how is that allocated to the accounts?
This original contract is an on-call design for drainage, so they are not only spent to one specific project. Woodward and Curran has been tasked into many different projects because this was an RFQ at the beginning about 3-4 years ago. So On this one in particularly, I do not have the amounts, but I can send it to you by email tomorrow, Mr. Meek.
I think it would be helpful. Yeah, if we're charging ARPA funds, it would be helpful to know how much they're, that is picking up versus ours.
Yeah, so I'm probably gonna be able to charge all of the 95,000 on the ARPA because we have already ARPA funds for that resource, that is the water improvements.
Okay, thanks. And then just an anecdotal comment, but we did that. We were supposed to have done this in the 80s and 90s, reclaiming the reclamation project. And why are we 30 years later, we're finding out that stuff is still commingled? This was supposed to have been done 30, 40 years ago now. Why are we just getting to this stuff now?
I think there was never an appetite before this administration to invest so much in drainage improvements. The full project to really, what we're doing is the low-hanging fruits. The total project that is needed for the area costs over $10 million as we present to this board about a year ago. And now we have the other one that we are about to finish, the Drivey Hollow, that is close to $8 million. So I think that this administration and with your support, we're seeing some of those projects that I agree has been very long overdue now being getting into just not only finalizing design, but into construction.
So where I'm going with that is, like I said, 3 decades ago, all this stuff was spec'd out. I don't know why it wasn't done. Clearly it wasn't done, but I bet if you turn right out of your office and go down to those engineering drawers, you'll find plans for this project from 30 years ago. It's Lloyd at Ponus. I mean, that's a major, Ponus is one of our, major secondary roads. And it's incredible that that's never been done.
I don't disagree with you there. But, I think if you look back over the years, Brian, I mean, think about how, we've had some recessions and, I can't go back 30 years. I've been here for 25 years and I've only been on the council for 6 and paying attention to this. But I definitely have noticed an increase in our commitment to improving the flooding over the last, I was at 4 to 5 years for sure. But it's very, very expensive. It's very, very expensive.
No doubt.
Projects.
Well, the other thing too is that you're getting a lot more significant flooding because of what's going on in nature. Flooding, if it's occasionally once every 2 years or something, people's memory fades. But if you're having it on a regular basis, you're going to raise your voice a little bit. And I think it's commendable that the administration over the last couple of years has put this out front and tried to do something about it. When I was on the BET, we would talk about this once in a while, and if there was some reason why while we were looking to reduce spending, projects that addressed this concern of many of all of our constituents is a no-brainer that you want to go ahead and take care of it.
Ms. Nachelski-Eichner, you had your hand up.
I did, and you may or may not be able to hear me, but so I'm looking, Vanessa, it looks to me like this is an estimated cost for these full projects of somewhere in the neighborhood of $600,000 to $700,000 when complete. This is obviously just the design phase. Is that going to, how are these rate assessments, like how are these projects going to relate to the overall design that we looked at last year, which is obviously a much larger project? I mean, I understand this is intended to alleviate, to provide some relief, but are these projects going to be able to feed into the larger project? Are these things we would have done anyway? Is this going to give us some heads up on, or some leg up on completing the larger projects in the long run?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Nora, when we realized that it was a $10 million investment, one of the assignments that we gave back to our consultant was what can we start doing to also do some improvements that will be along the lines of the whole project. One thing that is not in front of you guys here is also when we do, we redo the baseball field that will be closer to the outfall. We have plans on when we do that field also that we're gonna already leave all the pipes ready based on what the study brought to us. And we're gonna also tidy up that drainage rate. So the short answer is definitely yes. This would improve the overall project and is taking all that in consideration based on the whole study that we did.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, let's take vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, opposed? All right, that carries unanimously. Moving on to item 6, technical correction of the Common Council action of April 13th, 2021, item 7C5 and April 12th, 2022, item 7C1 to add accounts designated for the Walk Bridge Program 301-0515 NP project, including the PAL enclosed with this agenda, whereby the City of Norwalk will transfer funds in the amounts of $3,750,000 on May 30th, 2021, $1,875,000 on July 1, 2022, and $1,875,000 on July 1, 2023 to fund the undergrounding of utility lines on East Avenue from Fort Point Street to Olmsted Place to be performed by Connecticut DOT, account number noted. Who would like to move that, please? Mr. Frayer. It's you. Thank you. This is just adding an account number to this item.
That's correct. So this item was approved about a little over 3 years ago. This is the third payment that we owe the state. As you can remember, this was the first time that DOT ever allowed us to pay them in installments instead of getting our money in front. So this is the third one. It is in front of you because of the account due to the new fiscal year that we have them. That's all.
Yep, I do remember that was a big deal that they allowed that. So, okay, any questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. Unanimous. Right. Moving on to item 7, authorize the purchasing agent to issue a purchase order to Alta Enterprises LLC for the purchase of one Vantage L15 or L1V9DX cab pickup for a sum not to exceed $45,700. Account number noted. Who would like to move that? Mr. Frayer. Thank you very much. This is an all-electric vehicle. Excellent.
That's correct. So Mr. Thor is here if you guys have any questions, but this is our, as promised, this is our first small little truck that we're gonna buy. It's all electrical. It is small. We are planning to use there to do some of the work at South Norwalk. We put it out a bid. We saw actually those trucks in some of those conferences that we attended, and then we thought that that would be a good way to start our electrical fleet. And Mr. Thor, if you want to say something about it, please.
It's to reflect what Vanessa said. It's to put the Clean Streets Ambassador back into our business districts during the day to help business owners if they have a bag of garbage instead of putting it into the trash receptacles that are out there. If you've noticed, we've started sweeping that area more. It looks better. There's people eating outside. It's getting closer to where we wanted to be. And like Vanessa said, this is a great first step in electrifying that initiative.
Great. Any questions or comments? Ms. Najelski-Eichner? And then Mr.
I just want to say thank you so much. As you all know, this has been a huge priority for me. I'm really grateful for the work that you all are doing to make this happen. I'm excited for this step. And I would just make a request, perhaps the agenda item when it comes in front of the council can actually say that it's lithium-ion or electric vehicle in the agenda item, as I think that will help public awareness of the fact that we are doing our part to start electrifying our fleet And thank you again.
Also to add to that, we did also buy our first electric backpack blower.
Excellent.
It does work for the applications that we use it for, so that's exciting as well.
Okay.
That is thrilling news. Thank you so much.
How long does the charge go on that, Chris?
Like 2 hours, and then you have to get a new battery. So we had to get 4
Right.
batteries. But
Right.
for the application that we use it for, it's perfect because it's one less gas-powered piece of equipment that is putting emissions into the environment.
Good news. Thank you.
Do you have to, Chris, do you have to store those batteries in any particular environment?
Our tool room, believe it or not, is kind of the way the sun hits it. It's never really hot. So our charging stations, we just had an OSHA inspection not too long ago. So they checked every outlet in our entire building and all of our applications for that. So we are good in that department.
So you're not concerned about lithium batteries being stored in the building?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Great. Mr. Meek, you had your hand up?
Yeah, this one gives me pause because the next lowest bidder was 80 or 90% higher. Why was it so much higher? I'm just concerned you're going to be in front of this committee 2 years from now asking for a $30,000 battery.
We compared the specs. We actually did a demo in a couple of those cars, Mr. Nick, before we even put the bid out. And we are confident on what the market has to offer, right? Well, again, this is very new. And one of the things that we always came in front of this committee about all the electrical fleet is that some of the trucks are not ready for it yet. The technology is not there. This one, is, as Mr. Torre explained, is going to be just as Ambassador Little Truck will help with some of the cleanup. So we think that we can get a very good use for that type of vehicle. And again, we need to start somewhere. We thought that this would be the right amount for us to start seeing how electrical fleet will play with the city.
We can also get you the warranty information if you'd like, Mr. Meek.
You know what, this is a PDF copy on the agenda. I couldn't click on the bids. I'll check them out later. That's fine. It's just curious.
Okay.
It's pretty wild disparity on bids. And I don't know where Alta Enterprises is, but Milford's in our backyard. Would have thought somebody closer would have done better. Here nor there.
Any more questions? Okay, let's vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Ms. Najolski-Eichner, are you there? Thank you. Opposed? Okay, Mr. Meek opposes, passes 3-1. Item 8, technical correction of the Common Council action of October 11, 2022, item 7B8, to add accounts designated for on-call surveying services, account number noted. Do I have a motion, please? Mr. Frayer, again, thank you very much. These are just adding account numbers. Vanessa, any specifics you'd like to share with us?
No, it's just that when we use our surveyors, this is our on-call surveying. We have all those accounts that we put in. So depending on where we are using the surveyor for and what type of project we list that account. So we have this one to list that we miss. And this contract is about almost finishing the extension. We are actually about to put out on the street again another on-call surveying package that should be probably out in the next week or two. So this is just really a technical correction to have the account to build the right project that we use it for.
Okay. Any questions? All right, seeing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, items 9A and B. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement sole source with FGB Construction Company for project STR 2023-1, emergency wall, street retaining wall, and sidewalk abatement for a sum not to exceed $159,820. Account numbers noted. And 9B, authorize the Chief of Operations and Public Works to execute orders on contract with FGB Construction Company for project STR 2023-1, emergency wall, street retaining wall, and sidewalk abatement for a sum not to exceed $15,982. Account number noted. Do I have a motion, please? Mr. Frayer, thank you very much. This is, very urgent emergency work that needs to be done, and apparently Freeze Park, the work there cannot move forward until this is done. So I think the picture and the backup kind of says it all, but you want to give us a little background on when this was discovered, exactly what the process has been.
Yes, so thank you. So this is just there is an existing structural deficient slab under the sidewalk on that bridge. I'll ask Mr. Sonic to give a little bit of the feedback and what was the process that we went through.
Good evening, everyone. This area is on the southeast side of the Wall Street Bridge, between number 19 Wall Street, which is a building that exists there, and the Norwalk River. This area, basically, as you can see from the picture, this wall and slab is collapsing, and what is going to be done is we're going to reinforce the wall that's there, and the slabs are going to be taken out and new ones will be put in and reinforced. And one of the challenges with this site is getting the equipment down into the area to work, because it's about 10 to 12 feet below the sidewalk where they'll be installing the footing for the retaining wall. And as Vanessa has said, the rail that you see in the picture there, the green, is part of the Freeze Park project. And when they go to take that out, I want to make sure, the department wants to make sure that the slabs are not going to collapse where the public sidewalk is. And we'll be having barriers installed there. The contractor will do the work, and then the rail will be taken out as part of the Freeze Park project. And then the contractor, FGB, can do their work to repair the retaining wall and also install the new slabs that need to be installed. And then after that, the contractor doing the Freeze Park work can come back and install the rail that's part of that project.
Thank you, Paul. Any questions? Mr. Meek?
Yeah, when you say southeast, more precisely, is this is within Freeze Park? It's more close to the Wall and Main intersection?
It's on the opposite side of the Main and Wall intersection. This is on the south side of the intersection, south side of Wall Street.
Closer to like Norwalk Boat Club, that side?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I wanted to go look at this. This looks awful.
Yes.
Is there any other parts of that bridge where we've had erosion, or we're pretty sure like this would be it?
The bridge abutment is a separate structure and is in good shape. There's nothing wrong with the bridge abutment. This is just the area that goes from the bridge abutment over to 19 Wall Street. And when it's done, basically the retaining wall will totally support the sidewalk, and what you see in the picture will be filled in with concrete.
Cool. And we've, that's properly abandoned right now, so nobody can walk across it. It looks like it's going to fall into the river.
Right now, it's sound for people to walk on it, but I wouldn't drive a truck or anything up over the sidewalk at this point. And that's why we're doing it as an emergency restoration. We've had the design work done as an emergency, and now we're going to do the construction work.
When does Bothwell think they might finish it? I mean, it is urgent.
They're telling me that the work probably will take them about 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, thanks.
The contract is executed.
Any other questions? Okay, let's vote. Please signify by raising your hand if you are in favor. Okay, 4-0, all in favor. And that passes unanimously. And finally, under new business, item number 10, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Woods Men's and Boys Clothing for project number 4087 for a sum not to exceed $25,000 for fiscal year 2023-2024, with an option to extend for 2 additional terms of 1 year each. Account number noted. Mr. Freyer, would you like to move that? Thank you very much. There have been some price increases on the uniform contract. This is Woods. We've been doing business with them for quite some time, and they just had to increase their prices. Do you want to, any details that you want to share with us? Chris, maybe?
Yeah, so this is a contract that we have with them. Unfortunately, they came back to us and said that they could not sustain the price for this year contract. Unfortunately, we have been seeing this all over the board, you know, in a lot of different things. And so we ran that through our purchasing agent. We explained the situation. They gave us some of the backup, and she said that she would be okay on authorizing this extra increase. So that's why we have to go in front of you, because there's a change of the cost of it.
Any questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, so that's it for new business. Let's move on to information and discussion, tree operations and programming.
Hello. During the month of July or June, we glasses, I'm so sorry. We took down 1 ash tree in the parks property, took down 7 trees in the school property, and we took down 16 trees in the public right of way. We pruned 48 trees in the school property. In the parks property. We pruned 2 public trees in the school property and 79 trees in the right of way.
Can I give some good news to us?
And the final numbers for the spring planting are in. We planted 294 trees in the spring cycle of 2023. That brings the total for the fiscal year to 524. We had done in the fall of 22, we did 230, so it brings it to 524 for the fiscal year. And then if you go back just 14 months, which includes the spring of 22, it comes out to 695 trees that were planted in just a little over a year.
That's almost twice as many as we took, that we were twice more than we removed.
Good news. Do you have any projections for the fall?
We probably, right now with the projects, we're trying to continue the trend of where we're doing paving projects, sidewalks, curbs, going back and where we can put the trees in to finish off and kind of, we won't call it complete streets in terms of traffic, but completing the package, like putting the bow on the package with trees at the end. Spring Hill will be done. We've got the area for Senga, Morton, and there's some other areas that we are looking to do. We're probably at this point, I've got over 150 trees to plant this fall, and there's more coming.
Excellent.
Good.
Very good. Yeah. Any questions? All right. Let's move on to the food scrap drop-off report.
No, we have the, the monthly solid waste report first. Mr. Zab is here, so he can take the floor.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. For this solid waste report for the month of June, it continues to be on trend. I think we've seen a little bit of adjustment with the summer season. A lot of people are on vacation, but nothing major. It is going as expected. One notable thing is for the new book recycling bin at the transfer station. That was installed about 2 weeks ago and it is currently full. So I called in a pickup for that today. So it was much faster than I had anticipated. So I think we'll continue to see some good use of that.
That's great. Very good news. Okay, any questions for Tom? Okay.
Yep.
And oh, okay. Well, we need the food scrap drop-off report. Let's move on to that.
All right, yeah, now for our food scraps. This month, the Rowayton Community Center was the winner. They had 3.15 tons, with the transfer station just behind at 2.4 tons and Cranberry Park at 1.8 tons. So it still is going pretty strong. Cranberry Park is still increasing their weight by the month. So that's a good indicator of use.
We're so proud of that.
Oh yeah, it's really great. And it's so good to have it up here, up in my neck of the woods. I use it all the time.
It's great.
Yeah.
And also glad that we did
Nora. Oh,
sorry. I'm sorry, Ms. Smith. I just
no, go ahead, Vanessa.
For those that are enjoying the concert at the beaches, if you come on Wednesday night, if you come tomorrow, you can talk to Tom in person. He has always like some type of a desk and some flyers. So, and maybe tomorrow we're gonna be selling some food composting bins. We just need to see if we have enough at the office that we can bring to the beach. But you know, then we are putting the flyers so he can answer questions about recycling and explain all the other programs that we have for solid waste. So tomorrow, probably around 5:30-ish, he should be there before the band starts.
Excellent.
Have you been doing those? Have you been giving those to anybody in Rowayton? Because every Sunday night they have music at the beach as well.
We start with the one at the beach here at Calfasher Beach, and we want to see how that goes. And then the idea is that we are gonna launch this public outreach to help our residents to understand all the service that we do, minimize the cross-contamination on our recycling, and also move forward with different programs. We have 2 initiatives that is coming up. We just installed the recycling book as of last week, right, Tom? When we put that up at the
I think
station?
2 weeks ago.
About 2 weeks ago. And so do you want to tell a little bit about that program? What is it?
Yeah, so for the book recycling, we can take, I guess the most notable is the hardcover books. Those typically aren't accepted in the single stream. Now we can kind of take that out of the waste stream. That'll save us a little bit of money. And these books, this company does try to resell the books that do have value, that are still modern. So it does kind of give them a second chance at reuse before they do get recycled.
And another event that we're going to have that you guys approve is the pop-up event for Recycle 4 bottles, plastic bottles, right?
Yep. Yeah, any of the Connecticut 5-cent redemption bottles will be accepted at the event.
And when is that event, Tom?
That is going to be August 19th at 98 South Smith Street, next to Ryan Park, I believe.
So you're gonna see we're gonna push out all the communication regarding that event. So if you save some of the bottles at your house, you fill this bag, and then you're gonna get money. They purchase, like, it's a $10 for a full bag.
This is great. The education part is so important. And I think, you know, going to being there at the concert at Calfasher Beach, there's a lot of residents who come to those concerts, a great way to reach people. So excellent. And I'm glad you were able to find a date and a location for the recycling that didn't interfere with the high school efforts that they do. So, so that's really good. Nora, I know you've had your hand up for a while. You have a question or comment?
I did. I just wondered if if you have any updates for us, Vanessa, on planning for the larger waste management contract RFP and what sort of the timeline is for kind of the whole rethink that I know you want to do about kind of our larger waste management approach and contract.
Yes, we already have someone on board. We're going to have our kickoff meeting about the project this Friday. So hopefully I can give a better update in the next meeting or on the following. The idea is that within a few months, we're going to probably have a solid waste plan for the city of Norwalk.
Great. And are there going to be opportunities for public participation in the development of that plan?
Yes, yes. That is part of what we're going to discuss this Friday during the kickoff meeting. So as soon as I have more information, we will be able to share.
Terrific. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions before we move on to the upcoming projects, current projects? Okay. So okay. Vanessa, go ahead.
Jim will go through over the projects.
Okay.
We'll go over construction.
Yeah. So starting with construction, Dreamy Hollow, as most of you probably know, it's an ongoing project. It's going to be we're still at least 6 months out. It's a very slow moving type of project. It needs to be you're excavating 20 feet into the ground, dewatering a lot of areas, laying down a lot of material, and just to get machinery down there. So it's just one of those slow moving ones, but it is achieving some very good results so far. They've managed to accomplish a lot in terms of infrastructure, and everything is still up to on schedule. The pavement management is much of it is complete. There's going to be punch list items mostly for the next couple of weeks. One particular project is going to start soon. One that actually involves state funding for about four small roads, a CHRO project, and the same thing with the permanent roadway repairs or surface restoration. I had to follow that up with Wilbur about that. But the curbs and sidewalks projects as well are also moving up pretty quickly, but a lot to accomplish that. Most of it is on Spring Hill and also for Senga and Morton areas. Most of Morton has been complete. There's been a lot of slowdowns with some actual engineering challenges. There's been a lot of rock excavation that they've had to do. They did not anticipate, because you can't see that until you actually dig it up. But they are, the contractors are progressing very nicely on all these projects. So we don't really have any particular issues. They're not being resolved by the staff. And so then before over here, well, again, that also calls for the Spring Hill. For the on-call drainage, that is also, there's periodic stuff coming up. We're in the design phase right now for a few areas that some residents have also asked for. We're trying to do some of that design in-house and try to remediate with some areas, and that is ongoing. And we are in sort of the early stages of this right now. No real construction right now for that. Paul has already talked about the Free Spark railing rehab project, and see how that is progressing very nicely other than the emergency areas that he's talking about. The Connecticut DOT projects at various locations. Those are, I'll actually let Paul discuss that, but actually, Paul, do you want to, you've been in touch with them a little bit more for there. Any updates with any of that?
They're continuing to move along. They're at a point where they're starting to ask if they can do the ADA ramps at the entire corridor, the exit 16. There's a whole group of them on both the east and west side of the road. They're moving along with the drainage on the highway and doing work, and they're going to be moving along with the bridge in Westport. That'll be the next section that they'll be working on related to the I-95 median project. Then the Strawberry Hill Bridge is in final punch list. They're almost done with that. Most of the work is done out there already.
Thank you, Paul. So, okay, then moving on, the other major drainage one, Chatham Drive and Cossack Road is starting shortly, and that's going to be another large project as well. Not as big as GB Hollow, but something close to that scale there. And staff has been very diligent about keeping that. So we're not anticipating anything just yet, but there are problems to resolve ahead of time. And we've already discussed the Wall Street retaining wall sidewalk abatement. And get into talk about design now.
No, unless if you guys have any questions, those are our active construction projects. We're in. The good thing is that I have to say that pretty much all our base streets for the paving contract is about to be finished. We did very, very good, and so soon you guys are gonna see the metrics on how much we did this year. It is impressive, the numbers, and we are still in August 1st.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, the paving, the sidewalks, the curbing, I mean, everything I'm seeing around town just looks great. Haven't seen this kind of work going on at all, as long as I've lived here. So it's really, really nice to see. Ms. Najelski-Eichner, you have a question or comment?
I do. Just a quick question. When you mentioned ADA ramps, there was an issue raised on Facebook, and I think it's come up a couple times. But could you just explain it again? Because I wanted to make sure I was accurate in my in responding to people. When you all put an ADA ramp on a corner where there's no sidewalks, that is done A, for just general safety in that area, but B, because there is a possibility that there may be ramps there in the future and you had money to do it, or sorry, sidewalks there in the future. Could you just sort of explain those free floating ADA sidewalks, ramps?
Yeah, basically both of those concepts that you just stated are valid reasons. One, it does act as a safety measure. We are required for intersections, if we are anticipating any type of construction there, to make sure that it is safe. Now, ADA ramps themselves are required by Federal Highway Administration for their guidelines. Even if there is no sidewalk there, technically speaking, somebody who is crossing the street, because any intersection is a legal place to cross. And if they're crossing over there, they can step onto the landing area, this ramp itself, and as a car is passing by. Because as you know, around an intersection, a car tends to take up more space than a straightaway. So coming around there, if somebody's actually in the street, it's a little more dangerous. If they have something that, especially if they're in a wheelchair or a parent pushing a baby stroller. So if they have a ramp available, they're able to stand up there, stand up out of traffic while they're waiting to cross the street, or while they're, whatever it is that they're anticipating to doing next. So, and yes, the second part of what you said, yes, there is always the possible option that's a future one for some things if we're going to plan to have sidewalks there as a potential in the future. That alleviates, because when we have to pave our road, we like to have the curbs and the ramps in there first. That way we can pave the road. We don't have to dig it up to install more curbs. If we have to put an ADA ramp after we've done that, then we have to tear up the road. It makes it a little more difficult to do so afterwards. So both those are valid reasons to have the ramps installed whenever we can help.
And why would it be that you would do the ramp, a year or more in advance of other sidewalks? I mean, is there a reason?
We are not doing that. We are just adding some of them on some critical areas of the city that we needed. But usually who are doing those is really under the TMP. Again, DPW, we do the whole package here. We look at, as part of our paving program, right? So just to explain again, we have the forecast of the streets that we're gonna pave. When we come up with the forecast, we go first and look at all the utilities. If we contact the utility companies, if there will be any major improvements that they need to do on that area, then we check for our own drainage, see if we can do any improvements, and we try to get first thing done is the utilities improvements needed. The second thing would be the sidewalks, and that's when we check, does exist sidewalks there? Should we close that gap? Should we add some ADA ramps? And then finally is when we pave the road. So there is some sidewalks being built, ADA ramps being built in some areas of the city where first, as we said, some can be like TMP related, that they are adding some of their projects. And the other ones is that if we know that we're gonna, in the future, do some type of an asphalt sidewalk on that area, or there will be some type of improvement on that area, we're just trying to establish that ADA So we don't need to go back and reset that curve after the road is paved. But most of the time, DPW does the whole package.
You know, if I could add something I read about this, you know, because I've wondered it myself. But, you know, I think we tend to think of those ADA ramps for wheelchairs, but they are also for blind people. And, you know, when you're using a cane, if you're blind, you can touch that surface and feel that it's grass, you know, so that you know that you need to cross the street again so that you could, you know, get to where the sidewalk is. So I think that's something that's important to remember.
That's correct. There's also visually as well. Some, as you know, some of them have a contrast to the concrete in the surrounding areas. That's why they have different colors for those.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm still a little puzzled by that, but because Vanessa, as you just went through that timeline, that it would seem that if there was no chance that there were going to be any sidewalks put in, why would we still put the handicap corner or handicap access on the corner in? I would think that, you know, you've got a life of a road, how long it's going to be, and if there's no evidence of sidewalks being put in, then why would we go ahead and put this isolated corner with
to improve the safety of those who cross? So even though some areas we may not have sidewalks in the area, it is a safe landing for people to cross and come out of the road.
But I've seen where they are there, and you get some erosion from the rain because there's either grass or there's just a path, and if there's no grass there, then you get a path that erodes, and you know the rainfall coming off of the concrete, it just exacerbates that erosion in some case. So all of a sudden you get somebody coming up a handicapped ramp and then falling off into a ditch. That's an exaggeration, clearly.
No, supposedly we should read and should be safe. I hope that
has to be done right.
That is not, yeah. If it is done right,
it's not a ditch, but it could be a rut.
I hope we're not causing any other hazard conditions out there, but it's supposed to be kind of level. And with the installation of the curb, it helps a little bit of that, even that erosion to get into the road.
So do you come back periodically to make sure that there isn't any erosion, that there isn't any little bit of a rut when you
so DPW operations, they have a list of things to do, and sometimes they do, but I just want to also, depending, and this is a general rule, I'm not just saying specifics to the ADA ramps, but maintenance of the sidewalk falls into the property owner as per City of Norwalk ordinance.
Right.
But if we have something, our crew will definitely go there. And if there is some type of a tripping hazard or any hazard conditions with it.
Okay.
Mr. Meek?
Thanks. I'm sorry. I had to step away for a minute and maybe I missed this or maybe it's coming. Aiken, Bain, West Rocks, they all look great. The double yellow needs to go down. I've had several near collisions. Maybe they were done today. I noticed some white line stops going down in Cranberry. What's the forecast on getting all the line striping done for all the new stuff and just general stuff we need done? I recall we usually do it sometime in the late summer, like August.
So the normal procedure after the DPW paves the road, we hand it over to TMP and they just have a layout plan for the striping that needs to be done. And on West Rocks, there's going to be a bike lane. They have to give all this to the contractor who does the striping, and they make plans accordingly. So
TMP is another bottleneck to the process. This used to just happen. Road get paved, road gets line striped.
Well, unfortunately, also we have only one contractor pretty much on the state of Connecticut that applies epoxy.
I know him well. I've rode that truck before.
And you know, and it is unfortunately very common, and I totally agree with you, Mr. Meek. It's very annoying that we pave the roads and there is no marks there. Sometimes on the roads, we even require to put some temporary marks on it to make sure that it's safe. We have already talked to them today. We are expecting to have this resolved hopefully soon. I do not have a timeline yet to inform, but we are actively working. That is not the only concern that we have in the city. We have some others.
I understand. I mean, so you know, and everyone else knows, it's a double-edged sword. You have a beautiful new street, but people drive faster and they don't have that yellow line and they're just wandering. The bottom of Bain is particularly disturbing, and Aiken as well, where you have cars parked. You know, I don't want the city to be liable. That's all.
The contractor has to have a layout to know where he has to paint. Some roads are just more difficult to paint than others. And at the moment, as I stated, there are bike lanes on West Rock. So all the other plans that have to go out for that just need to be identified. So it's in the process is all we can count for right now.
We'll push for that.
Yeah, I think it's important to get it done before school, especially if we had to abandon others. Let's get Aiken Street done first, because if you haven't been up there for drop off at West Rocks, it's a problem, and that'll be a big problem if you don't have signals, traffic
That's
signals.
That's a really good point. You know, both of those roads that you're talking about, Brian, are near schools. You know, Bain is by Cranberry and Aiken right along West Rocks.
Yeah, we'll pay attention to that.
I would do Bain last. I would do the top of Aiken first, if anything. But yeah, it's you just don't want to see anyone get hurt because people are driving like it's the Indy 500, because you can. Those roads are beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay. Any final questions? All right, seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Frayer. Mr. Frayer makes the motion. All in favor, please raise your hand. All right. Thank you so much.
Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.